up, Copper family? We got Mr. Philip right over here, which is so cool. I'm so happy that you're here, Philip. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for inviting me, Tyson. I think we'll have a good conversation.
Oh, absolutely. So, guys, this is one of the Copper Lodges. I'm bringing it back because if you look at, I don't know if you guys can do that, but if you go on to the thing, you hit more right underneath the title, it tells you what we're doing here. And so basically, I'm looking at my phone because I can't look at it right here. It's just we want to interview is designed to showcase you guys, the community, and to highlight the incredible individuals that are a part of the Copper Johns family. And so we believe by sharing your guys' stories, we can inspire and connect each other on a deeper level. So that's the whole point of this is getting to know Philip, getting to know Rick, getting to know Vinny, Brand, Robert, Kevin, Garrett, Melissa, JP, like all you guys. I want to eventually have all you guys on here on an individual basis and us just getting to know who you are. Just because why not? I think we can all just get to know each other a little bit better and actually have a deeper connection instead of just a text message here or there type of thing. So I appreciate you being here. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, for sure. And hello to everybody in the comments.
So I will tell you this though, Mr. Vinny P over here, he is going to be having a fundraiser on our channel here, not this coming week, but the following week. He has a child in his life, not his personal child, but a child in his life, a family friend that has to go have surgery, open heart surgery. And he's 4 years old, and so we're going to be doing a fundraiser. And so if you know of anyone, or if you know any companies, or if you personally want to donate to the cause, we're going to be doing that. And again, it's just to help this little child and their family, because as you can imagine, that's a lot of money.
Oh yeah, that's and hard just on the family in general, just you know, changing whole life for that for however long it's gonna impact that.
Well, you can imagine just like a little kid, like the last thing you want to worry about when you're taking care of a child, especially when they're having this big surgery, just to deal with their bills. If we can just help just a little bit, that'd be amazing for us to be able to help out. So Vinny's going to be on the live with me and Logan, and we're just going to be having some sort of fundraiser and maybe an auction, something like that, just to kind of help push something for a good cause, just to help a family and help a child. So
yeah, that's awesome.
But dude, well, hey, how you guys doing? Sorry. Hey, Brandon. I hope you guys are all doing well, and we get to know Philip over here. So Philip, before you tell us about yourself, tell us where you are.
So today I'm at the Nebraska Ren Fair in Papillion, right next to Omaha, and I was gonna have maybe like be near my tent where I have some things I'm selling and stuff, but there's too loud. They have a magician going on over there and a bunch of people just being rowdy at a Ren Fair. So I came back in the woods here and I found this old abandoned like Game of Thrones prop seat thing, and that's what I'm sitting in, hanging out on right now as we get to know each other more. So yeah, it's kind of fun.
And this is the third week?
Yep, this is the third weekend. Last for the Ren Fair here. I might be out at this area again later in the year when they do a pirate festival thing, but we'll see how that goes.
So do you LARP? I have to ask.
No, I don't LARP, but I do. Well, okay. So I'm at a Ren Fair, so in a sense I'm LARPing. Like I got a pair of these elf ears today. Like I could put on elf ears right now. It's kind of funny. Like look at this. But the person in the booth next door wanted to trade for some things and they were selling them. I was like, oh sure, and that could be fun at stuff like this. See everybody else dressed up going around. But closest to LARPing would be having a booth here at like a Ren Fair. But this is the first time I've had a booth here. In the past, usually I'll set up more at like craft shows or more historical, actual historical based kind of things. So Viking Age reenactments or like 1880s, 1890s kind of stuff. So
yeah, JP's like, I don't LARP, but I might have elf ears in my pocket.
Yeah, right. I know, it's just the funniest thing, but I was like, I gotta pull them out just because I have them.
Oh, I thought that's awesome. So does everyone dress up and when they come and visit your booth and all that kind of stuff?
If you've never been to a Ren Fair, just to come for the people watching is it's a good time. You'll see every kind of oddity you could possibly see.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I don't even dress up for Halloween, so I have a hard time just doing anything like that. Like, I got invited to a Halloween party of our neighbors. Get this. My wife's like, "You're an idiot." I, I combed my hair, I pushed my hair down, and I pushed kind of my hair up as much as it would. And then I got
Mhm.
forks and I got crappy gloves at the dollar store, and I put the forks through there, and I was Wolverine.
It's fun. It's great though.
I
I,
just like,
I honestly, I honestly like costumes like that when I see them better than the people that buy ones that look like super cheap but look kind of like semi nice, but they're like just bought like quickly at like Walmart or something like that, like out of the
uh
box. You know, it's the creativity of it.
I apologize. I had to Google LARP. I need to get out more. Dude, no, there's just a
Yeah.
movie with what's his name, Ant Man, that where they were LARPing and stuff, and I thought that was the
Oh,
funniest show ever.
I think there's a few different movies that deal with LARPing, but yeah, live action role play. It's there's different kinds of LARPing.
It's
Um,
like when you're a kid, like you do that, but you don't really necessarily dress up.
yeah, there's I will say there's like I have enough since I do enough things around nerdy people. I hear a lot about it, but there's stuff that
This,
can be LARPing all the way at the end where it's like more like we're just doing strictly World War II LARP, but everybody's in like super historical World War II, and it's more of like a World War II reenactment thing. Or you'll have stuff where you're out in the woods and there'll be like fairies and wizards and
dude, I would like to
random
see that one
things.
day. I would like to see a World War II reenactment, like in West Virginia, Virginia area, like Gettysburg. That'd be kind of
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah, I've had some friends that are into it and want me to get into it, but it's like I don't know, getting into a reenactment, getting all the right clothes and stuff. It's a bit of a commitment. I just haven't had the time.
Oh yeah, I can imagine it's expensive. But hey, now that we're started, why don't you tell us a little about who you are, how you've kind of got introduced to the bearded world, the mustache world, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so Philip Patton. A lot of you have probably seen some of my stuff on Instagram or different videos, or seen me in the chat of different places for beard stuff. But let's see. I guess I grew up in Minnesota, and I was homeschooled, and we went. My mom took me and my brothers traveling all across the United States. So I've been to most of the states in the U.S. and have seen all kinds of really cool things. And then I don't know, went to college for HVAC. I really
Oh
loved
wow.
growing plants and orchids and carnivorous plants, bonsai, stuff like that. And I thought about going to school for like bioengineering. But when looking at like the demographics for, I don't know if you can hear a drum in the background, but there's now a drum in the background.
Yeah, but that's
Um,
okay. It's not distracting. It really isn't.
that's good. Uh, so I like the idea of bioengineering because I like science. I like all kinds of different things like that. But looking at the demographics for like workplaces and stuff, all the different trades, most of the people that are in the trades are starting to retire, and there's huge shortages in the workforce for that. And I read a really good article in my bio. It put blue collar scholar, and the idea is you could go to school for tech school, you can learn a trade. The trades pay really well money, good money, and you can continue to learn after.
Hmm.
So that's where my life kind of went in that direction. And I picked HVAC because it's kind of a jack of all trades. You got electrical work, you got plumbing work, you got welding. It kind of mixes and mashes all the different trades into it to do that. So that's what led me to that. And then,
Do you know Mike Rowe? Have you heard of Mike Rowe? He was the Dirty
yep,
Jobs guy.
yep,
Dude,
yeah.
listen
So
to his podcast, and that's all he talks about is those jobs and stuff like that. Like, they're a growing demand, and there's so many people that just, if they just, college isn't necessarily the best idea and fit for everyone, but man, the trades, and they're making lots. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars.
yeah, they make a lot more than people realize for what you can do in them, and the people need the work. People need things to be fixed, and it's important. And yeah, I it's been a while ago, but when I was in trade school, there used to be a thing called VICA, which now became Skills USA.
Okay.
So it's basically like a competition of different trades. There can be any sort of trades, electricians, HVAC. They'll have firefighters, like all kinds of different things, and they'll get together. And there's a state level where they do a competition, so you're put against students at different schools. And there's a national levels, and I went to third and placed third national for HVAC when I was in school for that, and he was out at the stage. He's a big supporter of Skills USA, but kind of their whole goal is to help support the trades as well as just young people raising up in kind of like a more maybe respectful direction than a lot of people do. It seems like nowadays, but yeah,
Yeah, that's really cool. My brother right now is joined the National Guard or the Army. I can't remember which one. Reserves, and he's actually doing HVAC for them and all that kind of stuff. So he's actually in is it Alabama? Does that Georgia? He's in Georgia right
Georgia.
now, learning HVAC with maybe it's the Air Force. I don't know, but he's a good dude, and this is what he wants to do. So I think it's really smart because even the Air Force needs it.
Yep.
Yes. Yes, one of my clients is basically a self-made HVAC professional. He enjoys it, does very well. He loves it. So, do you have you ever thought about running your own company, or do you just like working for someone else?
So I like running my own company. I probably wouldn't run my own HVAC company. So I do a lot of, I love traditional crafts. So I do wood carving, blacksmithing, bone carving, um, horn work, a lot of different things on that front. And I that's what I'm doing here and selling things that I do for that at the Ren Fair, and I really enjoy that. Um, my
Can I interrupt real quick?
yeah,
Blacksmithing?
yep,
Dude,
blacksmithing.
how have you not created a video on blacksmithing and you doing your stuff? Because that is freaking awesome. I love that. Like, I could watch those videos all
Yeah.
day and I'm like, I could do that in your life. Like, when would I ever do that?
Yeah, no, I need to do more with that. My forge area is a little bit crazy right now. The other day I did a couple of lives where I was in my forge. I
Oh,
needed to make a
cool.
new little trowel, so I just made a quick trowel on that. But can't have your phone too close to your forge because the heat will thermally shut off the phone. I learned that during that. So like it wasn't going to catch on fire, but it's just too hot to run. So I have to figure
Hey,
that out eventually.
also,
But
just to make it a little bit more about me,
yeah,
also, I one day if I ever have to like, shave off anything off horses or cows off their hoofs, I might be able to because I watch those like crazy. Will I ever? No, but I think I could, especially if there's
yeah.
an infection on the hoof.
There you go. There you go.
No, there's just a random crap things I watch. I'm like, why am I watching this? This is so cool. But no, definitely blacksmith is one of the things that I watch.
Yeah, no, I love blacksmithing. I have several. Well, I used to be friends with uh, all of the Forge and Fire judges on Facebook, but I'm now friends with just two. I think the other ones were we had different political beliefs, I guess, from posts or something, or maybe they just cleaning out their friends list. But uh,
Oh,
that can happen sometimes. But
that can
anyways, no,
it's some things are very divisive that people just don't understand. It's okay to disagree on certain things and still be friends.
exactly. But yeah, no, I have a lot of friends that do blacksmithing, and I love kind of more the bladesmithing side of things in a way because I really like making knives. But I also do like the blacksmithing stuff. It just depends on what
Well, here you go. You have a customer. He's been on a
yeah,
wait list for 8 years for a sword.
playlist. Yeah, I'm I have a short sword, Anglo-Saxon sax. It's about yay long that I'm making for a friend, and I
Dude,
was gonna
that's
get it
cool.
done like a year and a half ago, but then craziness started in my life, and that's kind of on hold. But he's a very understanding dude. But I've made a couple of different swords for the guy in my town that owns the coffee shop. He when his sons get married, he likes to get them a sword and then present it to them. So one was a Crusader sword, and the other one was a type of an Indian sword because his son went over to India and
Oh,
was
that's
a
cool.
missionary over there for I think it was almost 2 years. But yeah, he's back now. But yeah, it's pretty cool stuff on my
Fun
crafting
fact, my
page.
son's on a mission right now in Paraguay.
Okay, In Paraguay? Cool.
Uh-huh.
Very cool.
I
Yeah,
asked him
my
when he
friend.
comes home, will you make me a Spanish channel? He's like, I'm gonna have to learn Spanish because it's like half Spanish and then half like a ancestral type of old ancient language, like called I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, and they kind of mixed it together, and so it's like its own language. I'm like, I didn't know that. Sorry to interrupt.
That's cool. No, no, that's really cool. Yeah, my friend Ethan, when he was in India, he just decided he was going to go be a missionary in India. So he got on a plane and went to India, not with any group or anything like that, but he was
That's
just
good for him.
went over there and was doing stuff, and it was really awesome.
Can you forge
That's
JP a sword of 1,000 truths? I don't know
Lord
what
of a
that means.
Thousand Truths. I don't know if there's a, I'd have to know exactly what he's talking about with that, but possibly.
What kind of forge do you use? Everything by hand, or do you have
Mm.
presses and power hammers for your Damascus? I blacksmith left out. Sorry, but I'm very super
Oh,
curious.
okay. Yeah, that's cool. Nice to know that, Vinny. So I have a a gas forge when I'm at my home that I normally run that I built out of an old propane tank. If I'm at a fort or something like that, I'm generally using like a coal forge, and it can be a double bellows or a great bellows. When I'm at Viking events, usually it's just a couple small double bellows. And that could be in the ground or on a stand. Um, for anvils, when I'm doing Viking Age stuff, they didn't have giant anvils; they just had stump anvils. So I have an anvil about like this big that sits in a stump that you work on, and they'd make swords and everything on a little piece like that. Uh, at home, I have some medium-sized anvils, but my biggest anvil is a 665-pound South German double horn anvil, and it's like let's see
Oh
if I can get this
wow,
right. It's like big. It's massive.
yeah.
Um, and then I have I was friends with a guy named Andy Davis, who is pretty big in the blacksmithing community, and he helped create the company Coal Iron Forge, and I have one of their earlier forge presses um, as well. So that's kind of my forging setup.
Yeah, he says that's a serious anvil.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's I beat the anvil game to most people, but no.
But hey, so let's get a little bit on a more of a serious side. So, guys, if you have any questions, just make sure you put a Q on there. The comments aren't flying because everyone's just listening to you, Philip, and it's kind of cool. But what is one of the things that you value the most?
My faith. Strongly would be my faith. I'm a Christian. I believe God is real, the God of the Bible, and that's seriously important to me. And I believe that it is the truth, and that shapes my whole worldview. I guess if that makes sense, because
It does.
uh, I believe like uh, what is the exact title of the book? It's a really good book. I love it when you're trying to think of something and just blanks. But there's a
All the
great book
time.
that's talking about how, since like the Romantic era, we've kind of developed this whole. Man, I really hate it because the books. Oh my! And I'm just making it worse by trying to think of it. But it talks about how we've had this whole like individual mindset of how kind of like we've kind of developed this mindset where everything kind of evolves around ourselves and how we look at the world. Expressive individualism is is how they put it in the book, and that came about kind of in the Romantic era and how that morphed and changed through the sexual revolution into where we are now. And there's a lot of that sounds. It's a very generalized statement that if you were to break it down into certain things, it makes there's little things that you wouldn't think wouldn't necessarily be that on that topic, but it makes sense. I don't know. I need to be able to read. One thing I like is when you read a book and you absorb it,
Uh
and
huh.
it's like that's mind blowing. But then you go on and the topic comes up and you want to talk to someone about, it, but you don't have it absorbed enough to be able to express it. I love to revisit books when I have the time and go through them again, just so you can try to cement that information, and that's one of the
One of
ones I
the
need to
best
do that
ways,
again.
one of the best ways to learn is by teaching. And so, like,
Mm-hmm.
by you learning this book and all this kind of stuff, and then eventually, explaining it to someone else, that's a great way to solidify it as a memory and a core memory and all that
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff. But absolutely, I feel like a lot of people believe in God. I believe that,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe but then we kind of deviate our values to try to fit in other places, and then you have a lot of people who are hurting and stuff like that. And I'm in my mind, again, this is Tyson, this is no one saying it other than, I feel like a lot of us now some of, like me, I have depression,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
anxiety, and it's a chemical imbalance. Like, I've done therapy, I've done a lot of things, and it's just is what it is. But there's some instances where I believe a lot of us could be a lot more happy if we just lived our values, like what we
Mm-hmm.
personally believed in. If we lived what we believed, I think we would be a happier people. And that's kind of what you were saying, is like, I think that's kind of what you were saying, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would say I agree with you in the sense that, like, when you live your values, you're not fighting a cognitive dissonance in your own mind and throughout your own life. And I think that's very important. I think that a lot of people don't necessarily, though, and I would say this is even true for me. Sometimes there's certain things that you don't necessarily know your values, or how would you handle a situation to your, put to the metal of that situation, and the difficulties and challenges that might bring that you wouldn't have thought of otherwise.
Oh, that's a good one. Until you're put in front of it. John, I'll ask that question in the end since we kind of moved away from that, but I definitely will ask that, John. Um, what's the one piece of advice you'll never forget?
Mm.
Or did you already forget? I'm sure.
Yeah. No, I've had lots of good pieces of advice, but one of the best that I was given was from my grandfather, and that was the best place to find a helping hand is at the end of your arm.
Ooh, that's a good one. You want to explain it?
Uh, a lot of times if you need help, there's people that will sit and just wait till they have help. I'd say this would go same with if there's a sort of crafting project or something you want to do or try. A lot of people wait. Well, I need to get this tool first, or I need to go get something has to happen. Someone needs to intervene before I can go do it. When the best help that you're gonna have to get started on something is to just go and try your best, even if that doesn't mean that you do something perfectly. You're going to make more progress uh, trying versus just waiting.
Oh, 100%. I was actually talking to a potential business owner who's making products and stuff like that. And I'm like, buddy, you will never have the perfect product. You will never have what everyone wants. So
Mm-hmm.
just go out what you think is good and push it. And if it needs to be adjusted, then you'll adjust it. Your customers will tell you. You just have to
Yep.
be humble enough to listen to them so that you can adjust accordingly. Because if you just wait and wait and wait until you have something perfect, you'll be waiting the
Mm-hmm.
rest of your life. Like, doing the thing and talking about the thing and doing the thing are two different things. Just because you're talking about it
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're doing it. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So it would be
What's up?
the best advice I've been given.
I like that a lot. I really do. That's a really good one. What qualities do you admire most in others?
I would say probably honesty would be the biggest thing that I appreciate in others. I feel like a lot of people aren't honest, or they try to communicate in a style I think that you'll jive with um and put down their own own thoughts until it comes up later at a time when something isn't helpful then. But you uh that, and I guess I could put that in the line of also like asset allocation, trying to properly spend your time, properly do what you can do with your life
Mm-hmm.
versus going too much into other areas and being off balance.
Ooh, I like that. I think you can do too much and be off balance. Sometimes I catch myself like that. That's really good.
Oh, I do it all the time, and then you just got to make a readjustment and go from there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But next question is, who had the biggest impact on your life growing up and why?
Probably the biggest. My mother probably had the biggest impact on my life, and that would be for starting with her picking my dad, because my dad's a very interesting guy. He was an archaeologist in Israel in the 70s,
Dude, that's
and
cool.
um, he helped find like the east steps of the temple, and that had a huge impact in my life regarding kind of like my religious side. And then both of them for choosing to homeschool me and my brothers, and she drove us around the country in a Eurovan. So I got to visit lots of different museums, national parks. Um, the U.S. is a lot more diverse place, I think, than most people realize.
Oh, 100%.
Depending on where you are, so a lot of different groups of people, and she's always has been very supportive, and I've just learned so much, and I'm so grateful for her and the impact that she has had in my life.
So, two comments what you just said. First, there is a gentleman on social media that is from Great Britain and always talks about, why don't Americans, they're not well traveled, they're not well traveled country, all this kind of stuff. And then he came to America and he's like, oh, I know why they're not well traveled. They have everything in the country. Like there's like everything that we all search for in our little Great Britain country. It's like
Hmm.
they have it all there. And I'm like, it's so
Yeah.
true. What's the coolest place you've ever visited?
Mm.
Top three, because that's a hard
All
thing.
right. Top three. Grand Canyon is super dope. Super super cool to see that in
Did
person.
you go down the loop, go up and down on the other side?
No, just up and around on the top. Just some small trails up on the top, but nothing
Okay.
deep. But just seeing from the top, that was super cool. Top three is hard. I love seeing like the giant sequoia trees and in Kings Canyon.
Where's
I
that?
think
I've
it's
never been there.
uh, Se- uh, yeah, Kings Canyon and Sequoia National Park in California
Okay.
is definitely worth visiting because there's some redwoods around there, but the sequoias are just massive. And there's a bunch of waterfalls which are really beautiful.
That's cool.
Um, hmm. uh, Norway was really awesome to visit too. Because I have family over there. We went over there for a month. My mom had stayed pen pals with a cousin of hers from there when she was a kid. And we went there, and uh, we visited, got to see all the family that we had there that we didn't know, and they kind of brought us around. So we started out in Oslo, got to see the different museums. So like
That'd be cool.
the folk museum they have there, the Resistance Museum, Edvard Grieg, right, the guy who did the Scream, Viking Ship Museum, the Kontiki, and then we went up uh, through past the fjords, and my family in Norway came out of a section called Telemark, which is where
Oh.
ski jumping started, which was started on my family's farm in Norway.
Oh
So
wow.
we got to see the original family homestead in Norway, and uh, where ski jumping, like Olympic ski jumping, started, and and then we went on this thing called the Bischofbergen Marchen, which from America we had some miscommunication because they said, "Hey, our cousins they were planning on going on this trip, this hike," and they wondered if we wanted to come along. And they said, "Yeah, it's 2 miles," and we're like, "Oh, we live in Minnesota. That's the same as walking around what was called Lake Calhoun at the time or whatever." It's like, "Yeah, we'll go," and they said it's gonna take all day. We'll make stops along the way. There's like this place we'll eat some food, and so we go with them and we get on this bus with them to where this place is going to be. And then we get off and the bus goes away and then everybody starts running. Well, it turns out it was a race, and a mile in like a Norwegian mile is more like uh, 10 miles uh, U.S. So we went on this 20-mile hike up and over this mountain from one fjord over into like a next and it's called the Bishop Martian because back in the day a bishop would take this trail to go from town to town
Okay.
and yeah, it was me and my mom and my two younger brothers, and at the time my brothers were the youngest to have done that entire hike. So we beat the Norwegians going across this this whole hike, and there's just some majestic views from the top of the mountain going down to the fjords and um, stuff, and yeah, that would probably be
That's a
the third.
cool.
But I don't know.
That's a
There's
fun
so many
childhood.
different cool places I've been to that it's that's a hard list.
Have you been to Rome?
I have not been to Rome. As far as like overseas, I've been to Iceland just briefly, like stopping on the way to Norway, and then I've been to just a little bit into Mexico and into Canada. Some cousins have up there, and there's a guy my dad was helping with a book at one time too.
That's cool. I've fun fact, Dad Bods and Beards, our podcast, mine and Logan's.
Hmm.
We're in like the top 20 in Iceland.
That's awesome.
I was like, what the crap? It's really cool. I was just like, out of anywhere, I'm like, what's in Iceland? And then well, that's a lot of beards and all that kind of stuff. But
Hmm.
it made me laugh. Just I'm like, out of everything. But
You just try to see if you can get the mountain wearing some copper johns, because I think he normally keeps a short beard. That'd be pretty cool.
that would be really cool. That him and what movie was he or TV show was he in? What see it's
He's
the
in Game
dragon
of
one.
Thrones.
Game of
Yeah.
Thrones. Dude, when he fought that person, that like prince or whatever, I'm like, dude, he's scary. But okay, so moving on because I will say this. The reason why I say Rome is because I want to ask you how it was because that's one place I really want to visit. I would love to see I would love to go to the Vatican. I would love to go to all the Roman like features, from the Colosseum to everything. That's something that I just find very unique.
Yeah, I'd love to do that too. The closest thing I've been to Rome is I believe it is down near Memphis. There's a reconstruction of the Parthenon, I believe it was, and they have like it
Oh,
all done up almost I think it was size to size, and they have the giant statue of Athena and inside it that used to be in the Parthenon and everything too. And that's probably the closest thing I've been to anything like that. But that's in the US. And we have it all here in the US, so why aren't we well traveled?
but just another trend that was going on. It was about wives asking their husbands about how often do you think about the Roman Empire, and when they did that, I'm like, holy crap, I really do think about it like all the time. And
Yeah,
so
no, I
I
do
think it's
too.
hilarious. I'm like, why? I'm like, because it's freaking awesome.
Such a huge impact on the world. Such a
It
huge
did.
impact.
It did, and then I do want to like go all the way up, and then eventually when Jerusalem's not in a huge, I'd love to
Yeah.
check out the Muslim side and also the Jewish side, and just kind of get to know that. Want to go to Japan? There's so many places I want to go, man.
Oh man, the world. God made a world full of cool places and people to do cool things, and
It's true.
yeah.
Why can't we just be like crazy wealthy and just be able to do that?
Hey, because we have an important goal to do somewhere else.
It's
I don't know.
true. It's true, and I think you doing this and what things have you already said will impact someone's life. I really do believe that. So, what habits have you adopted that help you stay motivated? Because I know about me, um, there's a difference between motivation and discipline, but you have to
Hmm.
have the motivation to even start. And so, what motivates you? What gets you up in the morning?
Mm.
Dude, that'd be cool. I would like to go to
Yeah,
Ireland.
Ireland would be cool too. So for me, for motivation, time is a huge motivator. There's a lot of times where time crunch comes in, and you gotta get stuff done. But as far as like motivation, if I'm like seeking for good motivation, uh, I can find good motivation in the scripture. I can find good motivation in music. There's a DJ called Akira the Dawn that I like to pull up, and he um, will like do these remixes of different people's podcasts or stuff like that, and he'll usually like pull out cool parts, and you know, it's something I can put on the background where I mean it kind of just like mindlessly work, but then it'll be usually interesting or motivating stuff as I go. And he calls his form of music meaning wave, which it's interesting. It's very
Yeah.
different kind of a thing. I like to surround myself with good people that have discipline and are encouraging and aren't you know, going to just tell me whatever I want to hear.
I think that's very important. I would agree with that.
Yeah, that's probably my main areas of motivation.
Vinny, I'm going to tell you this real quick. That was one of the coolest college courses I ever took. It's called World Religion. And when you're learning it, it's just how similar everything is. Like they're all teaching the same thing, just in different ways. And I some of the coolest classes I've ever taken. But yeah, staying motivated. Sometimes, like I said, to get motivated, but sometimes you just got to do it. Like I'm waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to work out with my son. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to wake up.
No,
But
but tell me this: do you feel great after you're done working out in the morning?
oh yeah, and you feel like accomplished. You felt like you've done something already in the morning before everyone else gets up.
Mm-hmm.
All that, and then when you just, but then 2 o'clock comes around after lunch, and you're just like sitting there, like, oh, I hate this.
Oh, 2 o'clock after lunch is the worst,
It
especially if you
really
eat
is.
just a little bit too much.
Uh huh. Motivation is the death of all greatness. Just my opinion. We are always so motivation. We are always so motivation that you hit it in the head, discipline over everything. See, that's
Yeah, no, I agree
motivation
with that.
driven.
Motivation is fleeting, discipline is lasting.
My family gets me motivated. I want to be around them. I enjoy the simple life with my family. I want my kids to see me improve. It's a good one.
Yeah, no, family is huge up there too.
All right. So let's just say hypothetically you're having a bad day, whether it be at work, you heard something happened. How do you, Philip, get over that bad day?
Mm. I pray, and if it's like a really really bad day, then I'll fast. That's me
Okay.
personally. And yeah, like if I'm having a bad day, my emotions aren't where they need to be. I try to simplify my life and just try to work to get my head in the right space.
Put your elf ears on.
Yeah, put my elf ears on. I, I like I like to put on good music too. Um,
What kind of music?
usually if I'm having a bad day, I like classical music,
Okay.
especially like darker, complex classical music. That can be a thing that can be a motivation to me too, as far as music wise goes. Like just putting on some epic classical music, or it depends on what I'm trying to get motivated for. I
Yeah.
guess
I
type of
think it's
music I'll
funny.
go to, but
I think it's funny because it does depend on that. But like sometimes I don't need the motivation. Like I'll be at the gym and I'll be listening to show tunes. Like
Mhm.
seriously, like there's sometimes, or I'll be listening to some sort of talk, or
Mhm.
that type of thing. And it's like sometimes I music doesn't necessarily always do it for me. Sometimes I need other things, but I love like musicals, like
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie, like the Book of Mormon is the funniest. I love their songs too, and I love
I
listening to
haven't
that.
seen that one.
Um, there's one called dude, it's such a powerful story, and I can't remember what it's called. Next to Normal,
I've
dude,
heard of that one, but I haven't seen
it's
it.
intense, but you don't know it's intense until it's over, and then you're like,
Yeah.
holy crap, that's what we just watched, because you don't realize what's going on, why it's going.
Building the plot. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is there's a powerful song in there, and so that type of stuff really gets me. It makes me want to be a better person. It makes me like when I go to the gym, it's not necessarily me trying to get a huge monster pump, it's me trying to be better, and so that stuff really helps me.
Yeah,
Someone
no,
waving at
I
you.
would agree with that. Yep. The guy that sold me elf ears, he just came and took a picture of me.
um Yeah, so Garrett goes, I can go from country to hardcore death screamo music, and it's all in the mood for me. Yeah.
Yeah, no, same exact for me. Like, yeah, Tchaikovsky is way up there. He's really, really, really good. And if I'm sad, I love Chopin.
That's cool.
But
Yeah, there's so much good music out there. So much good stuff. All right. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about your beard.
mhm.
What's going on with this beard? Because I haven't seen you have a beard before.
Yeah, so I knew I had the Ren Fair coming up, and I didn't want to just be like just a mustache and shave clean the rest because I don't know, it didn't feel quite Renaissance-y enough. So so maybe I think it had to have been like maybe 2.5 weeks before Ren Fair I stopped shaving, and I just haven't shaved yet. So I don't know. I like it and I want to grow it out more, but at the same time I also like making the shaving videos. So it's kind of I don't know. I go back and forth on what I want to do with it continuing forward.
So I'm going to do this. Thumbs up if you want him to continue growing the beard. Thumbs down if you want him to shave the beard. I'm kind of curious. You're obviously keeping the mustache, but I personally want you to keep the beard. Just keep it going because you look good with it, man. What does your
Yeah, well,
family think?
uh, family would be supportive
Either
anyway.
way.
So I don't know. Some year I definitely would like to do a year regardless of
Oh, that'd
whatever I
be cool.
decide to do now. But yeah, I don't know if I would want to start that quite yet or not.
Only 2 people voted. Oh, here we go. There you go. Yeah, we're getting some people who are voting. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think you should just keep it and just see what happens. But obviously, do what you want to do.
Yeah, it's I keep going back and forth between keeping it, shaving, or maybe keeping part of it.
Yeah, maybe it's just grow it until Halloween. Then you can be Wolverine like I was. But okay, so going back to this, John asked this question: what is the highest number of layers you have done on a Damascus still? That's actually a really fun question.
That I've personally done. Somewhere in the hundreds, but I have
What?
some really somewhere in the 100 layers.
That's legit? That's normal?
Yeah, but that's not that really that high because
Oh,
each time you fold something over, it gets doubled. So you think about how if you'll see the memes around that say, "I'll give you like $1 million now," or a penny doubled for so many times, and the penny grows to be exponentially larger. So you fold it. So that's not very much. I have a friend named Rick Fur. He's been on like Nova and stuff like that. He made like a Viking sword series, and he's got um, massive power hammers and stuff like that. And I've made some Damascus with some pieces that he's made, and I know I've had Damascus that I've worked with that's been, and him and other friends, where it's been higher layers than that for sure, but just depends. Probably the coolest thing that I have to forge on is something called Crucible Steel, which
I
is
haven't heard of that. I've heard of Damascus. I've never heard of Crucible.
yeah. So when you talk about Damascus Steel, Crucible Steel was called Damascus Steel first because it was made around in Damascus. So there's some confusion, but usually when people talk about Damascus Steel nowadays, they're talking about uh, pattern welded steel, which is you're making a pattern of layering it over and over. And then there's mosaic Damascus, where you're trying to make using the steel, different types of steel to make like a pattern. So like if you want to have a spider in a knife, that's just all the steel, and that's the color of the steel itself. You can do that. And there's all kinds of different forms that you can go from that. But Damascus steel was like the first like one of the first mono stills that we have in history, where it was a carbon still that you could forge out that was super high carbon, and you could heat temper it, and it just was superior to most everything else at that time, which was basically wrought iron or bog iron that would be refined down, and then you'd make um, something like blister steel, which is where you take wrought iron and you fold it a few times, put a carbon source in, and then cover it in like clay, and then bake it so that the carbon migrates into the iron, making shallow layers of steel, which then you could then forge weld to make your hardened edges for tools. But Damascus steel is probably the coolest thing I've worked with, and it's kind of hard stuff compared to other stuff because you have to have certain temperatures that you work it with, that otherwise it'll just like crumble apart.
Dude, I had no idea it was that intense.
Yeah, metallurgy is crazy, and it's super cool, especially when you get into the tempering, um, how every single steel works. So like basic steel is a carbon steel, so just carbon and iron. That's what it's made out of. And whenever you see a 10 series steel, it'd be a 1090, 1045. That's going to be talking about your iron to carbon ratio for a basic carbon iron. But then there's, I don't know how long a list of name of different um, types of uh, alloys that there are out there that men have made, and how you treat each and every one of those is going to be different, from how you quench it for hardening it to how you anneal it for softening it. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay, so here's your goal. You have to make me a night suit, and you have to make yourself one. We'll buy a couple of horses, and we're going to joust.
Sounds good.
That's one of the things I'm like, you know how much fun it would be to joust.
Oh, have you
I'm like,
have you
that'd
ever
be-
tried? Okay, so at some run fairs, they'll have like these little like trainer joust things. It's usually at like a bigger one. Like I know they had it at like the Minnesota Run Fest long ago, but you can sit on like a barrel and they'll run and they'll give you one of the jousting lances, and you got to like get a ring or something. It's a lot harder than it looks to control where that lance goes when you're
Really?
riding and it's bouncing up and down at the little end of the fulcrum that your hand's holding on. It
I just think
looked really fun. There was some people that do jousting that wanted me to join and go around with them when I was younger and in college, but ended up not doing that.
Have you made your own? It's pretty ridiculous without a press, so I haven't even thought of it since I do everything by hand, but I thought about cheating and trying braided wire.
I have made my own. I have done it by hand, and I've done it on a press. I've done them on a tire hammer. I've done them on a pneumatic hammer. Um, I've used a rolling mill. Uh, those are all different ways to squish metal. Um, it's the biggest thing is having your temperatures right, and then knowing what stills you're working with. I have several pieces of cable that I want to use, but I haven't made any cable Damascus before. I've made Damascus using chainsaw blades before.
Oh wow.
Uh, I've done canister Damascus where you have a can. If you've watched Forge or Not Fire, you've probably seen it. But by hand, I don't know. I had a stack like yay tall to, I don't know, there had to have been like 15 or so layers to start, and then go from that. I was using 1095 in 15N20.
So I just keep thinking of Vinny. You know, have you ever watched that guy who chops wood and has his shirt off? Like he just has a huge following of women, and it's all about. But he's now selling axes and crap. Anyway, that's Vinny. Like Vinny just needs to just get a hammer with an anvil and just get that hot metal and just get sparks and his shirt's off, and dude, he'd explode.
There you go, man.
He's just wiping himself off with a dirty rag, and he's his wife would kill him. Sorry, they're talking about how they what they use for their beard care products. But yeah, let's talk about that. So what we'll do a Copper John's thing. What is it about Copper John's mustache wax that you like?
Well, favorite thing I like about it is the hold with the scent, because the other ones I've tried that are scented don't have quite the hold. I also like about the wax for Copper Johns how it isn't. It feels drier.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that makes sense, but
Oh,
some
it does.
waxes are really sticky and tacky. But Copper Johns, like if you're shaping things, it doesn't feel like you're gonna pull your hairs as much sometimes when taking your fingers off, and I really like that aspect of it.
Yeah, someone just reached out to me and asked me if I would make a tacky mustache wax, and I'm like, we're on it. But that I would imagine that because there's needs for everything. But yeah, that's
Mhm.
cool. All right, well, we have a few more minutes left. Is there anything that you want to tell anyone, talk about, or maybe push? Also, I do have a question for you. Now that I know your abilities, and I'm putting you on the spot, and I apologize. You should
No,
put
that's fine.
something up for auction for Vinny's little child. Just because
Yeah, I
a
can do
lot of
that.
people probably would like one of your Damascus blades or something, but they're probably super expensive. We would have to have a minimum.
Well, I have some blades in the works, but I don't know if I'd have anything ready by next week for that. But
I think we're
I
doing it to
definitely could put like
28 or something like that.
a horn mug. Maybe I could get one done for something like that. But I could also do I can do something. I have all kinds of cool things. Like I said, I do carving, woodwork, hornwork, leatherwork. I like traditional crafts, so I have a lot of different stuff. And then I have a giant CO2 laser as well as a fiber laser that I can
Wow.
customize things with. And then
Do you watch TV at all?
I like to watch shows while I'm working on things. So I'll have like my
Fair.
phone set up or maybe a tablet. It just
Works.
depends.
That
But
makes sense to me.
usually I don't know. I haven't been able to watch as much as I'd liked. I splurged a little bit here recently and I watched the recent Shogun series, but
So good.
it is so good.
But you
But
have to watch it because
you
you have to
have to
read
watch
it.
it because you have to read because I don't know Japanese.
No.
And there's a lot of cool shows like that out there that I would like to watch, but they're foreign or they have a good chunk that are in foreign languages. And I can't do that while I'm working on stuff because then I end up sitting there watching the show versus working on what I want to work on.
No, it's facts though. 100% facts. Yeah, so he's that's beyond incredible serious.
I
Sorry to put you
appreciate it.
on the sorry to put you on the spot. It's just I'm
Oh
like,
no, it's
dude,
no problem.
seems like I mean everyone in the chat is just in awe of your ability, and I'm like, I wonder.
Yeah, no,
So
I'd be glad to get to add something to the pile for sure.
what's up, Chris? But yeah, so if you had any advice on anything, and we'll leave it at this, what would you give?
On anything,
Yeah.
I would say try to be good. Just be good. Tell the truth. Um, if you haven't read the Bible, read the Bible, even if you don't believe in it, because it has impacted our culture in so many different ways, and having at least just a little bit of understanding or stuff to reflect on stuff will change your life as you go about in the world. And yeah, I don't know. Advice, I could give advice on a lot of things, but you got to get more specific sometimes. But those would be some big generalizations, I'd say.
I love it. Thank you so much. Oh, it just usually that kind of gives you your mindset that you're in, and I like that a lot. So thank you.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
with that though, I thank you so much for your time, man. We hit our hour mark. That went so fast,
that one really fast for
like
sure.
so fast. I really enjoyed talking to you. We'll have to do this again. We'll have a couple more people on, and then maybe invite you in for a second time around just
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
more
Come up with
about you.
more questions, and we'll go at it. We
Yeah.
can have a good time talking about stuff.
And I will start reaching out to more people to be on it. But if you guys want to be on it, please email info@CopperJohnsBeard and just let me know if you want to be on it and why you'd be a good guest. This is a really good advice right there.
Yeah, don't eat yellow snow. You know,
It's true, unless you buy it from a stand.
for sure.
Anyway, I appreciate everyone for joining us. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, thanks everyone who joined. Take care.